Hello and welcome to another episode of Driveway Breakdown. Today we're talking about my 2018 Toyota Tacoma TRD off-road. I've talked about it before, but I'm going to be talking about it again today. You can see my other video about it up in the corner. But today we're going to be talking about the pros and the cons of this car on today's episode of Driveway Breakdown, coming at you right now. So my name is Hway. I'm the owner of Dynamic Photowerks. We do commercial photography for the automotive industry, for really anything commercial, including video and drone work. I'm a certified drone pilot. But today we're talking about driveway breakdowns and my Toyota Tacoma. So as I said, we've talked about this before in another video, but with this new program I'm doing with Driveway Breakdown, I kind of wanted to redo it and also talk about a couple of the updates I've done since then and my ownership experience in the past 2 years now. Well, 2.5 years actually. All right, so in the last just over 2 years, I've put on 26,000 miles on it. Pretty fair for a guy who's works from home. I don't have to daily commute anywhere, but despite that, I did want to get a different look to the wheels. So this is the first modification I'm going to talk about. These are 1552 Turbo Mac kind of 5-spoke wheels. They are unfortunately not real bead locks, because that's really for like really hardcore off-roading. The only thing that I would say is because this bead lock piece of metal is on here, or a fake bead lock, there's like a kind of a channel right on the inside of the wheel here that can actually, like, water can sit in the it settles in the bottom of it, and as you can see, it's cold out. That water then freezes and it can kind of throw off the weight of the tire, the balance, I should say. So once in a while, if that happens, I'll notice a slight little jiggle in my steering wheel. So that's one little notch against it, but otherwise, I adore these wheels. They are so cool looking. I just love the way it looks. They're obviously kind of modeled on the same 1552 design principles that, like, Ken Block and his rally car and his Hoonigan cars have, and I just love the look. I love how it's adapted for kind of an off-road wheel. So that's the coolest thing. And also I've got the Falcon Wild Peak all-terrain tires on here. Again, I'd give that a big thumbs up. They're one of the deepest tread tires you can get for kind of road use. They're adequate in the snow and ice. They're really best just off-road. Stopping distance and all that on ice is not that much different than the stock tires, but I would say I love them, and I would definitely recommend these tires to anyone. So no other crazy modifications. There's a few things I'd like to do in a perfect world, but I've got other expenses, so I don't do them. But yeah, the wheels are the biggest thing. I've got the stock wheels still in my garage. If I ever trade it in for another truck that maybe these will fit on, or for another Tacoma, yeah, big fan. So the big thing I wanted to talk about today on today's Driveway Breakdown are the pros and cons of this car, or the truck. I'm going to probably make this the biggest segment of all future driveway breakdowns, just to give you, the viewer, an idea of what to expect, and certainly what my opinions are on the pros and cons of ownership of this car and cars that I get to drive and things like that. So for this truck, we're going to start with the cons. Sorry, let's start with the pros. Start with the pros. The pros are, I've got 4 of each pros and cons, and I'm going to start with the design. Okay, just the overall design of the truck. So obviously I bought this. This is something that's important to me. It's got to look good. A truck has got to look good. I think that there's some really ugly trucks in the market. For instance, I'm going to bash a couple of manufacturers here, but the Colorado is obviously a competitor to this. It's got a kind of a shape to it I don't care for. Same goes for the Ranger. I'm personally not a fan of the design. Certain things just don't line up the way I would hope, and they just don't give me a good feeling when I see another one on the road. They just don't really jive with me personally. So this truck, as a whole, I think really looks muscular. It looks balanced. It looks just attractive. One of the biggest things I notice about this truck when I see others on the road especially are just like the design of the arches. You've got obviously the unpainted arches here, but then these extra body lines really emphasize muscular looks and just good stance to it. The front, I really enjoy how the front of this truck looks very big, very bold in your face. It's very aggressive. Again, it looks bigger in photos because of the design, and that's kind of a good thing, right? I also like that I got the crew cab. I think that's an important part of the design, or yeah, the crew cab. The extended cab, which only goes like here, I don't, that's where it doesn't jive for me, all right? I think that with the crew cab, that's the perfect look, and that's obviously why I got it. Pro number 2 is utility. The utility of this truck was a great detail that the designers focused on when they designed this truck. From front to back, there are little things here and there that really speak to utility and make this truck just adaptable. They make it easy to use. They make things easy to tie down. There's lots of little cubby spaces. So jumping on in, there's, well, let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Not that this is important, but it has 12 cup holders. That's a utility feature, just options for you fast food goers. Lots of little cubbies, lots of cargo or luggage space inside, big glove box, big center armrest, full door pockets here, storage behind all 3 seats, storage underneath all 3 seats. And then moving into the back, you've got what I really like is this composite, or plastic I should say, bed. That's really good for utility because you're not scratching metal, so you don't have to get a bed liner. Very smart thinking. They've got these cleats in the back that can help with strapping things down. You can get all sorts of nets, you can get all sorts of tie downs. A couple little cubby holes in the back here, including a power outlet that can be controlled from the inside. I've used this numerous times on my jobs or just out and about to charge things or to run power equipment off of. You can just tell that the designers really focus on utility, and it shows, and that is a big pro. All right, number 3 pro, and one of my personal favorites, is the fact that this truck is available with a manual transmission. This truck, of course my masks are in here, but this manual transmission in here, it's not a sporty thing, it's just enjoyable. I enjoy driving manual, and this 6-speed is a great, very direct and very easy shifter to use. I mean, yeah, it's a big movement, but it's a truck, that's okay. I really like that, and it's not available on, actually I don't think it's available on all of its competitors. Certainly as a truck, very few trucks offer this at all in America. This might be the only one, I'll have to fact check that, but I love it. That's a big pro for me, and I hope it is for you if you're looking at this truck. So, all right, the final pro number 4 is reliability. Reliability on this truck for me has been exceptional. So in 26,000 miles, just over 2 years, all I've done to it is just routine maintenance. There have been a couple of tiny minor recalls that Toyota has taken care of. In fact, there's an active one on it right now that it needs to go to the dealer for, but it's like a nothing. It was a non-issue. It only ran on certain VINs. But again, this truck has just had zero issues. Reliability is a huge factor for me. I need this truck to work when I need it to work. I need it to be reliable if I need to, just get out of Dodge or haul a bunch of stuff or travel across the country. There's just no fear that this thing will ever die. And of course, like I said, I obviously maintain it right. I mean, oil changes all the time, inspections myself. I check all the filters. I check grease and lube or whatever I have to. There's not much to do. But that said, I need a truck to be reliable. This is it. So those are the 4 pros. So what about the con? Con number 1 has to do with what's under here. The horsepower. Okay, we've talked about this in my last video about this truck. I'm going to talk about it again because it is a low point. This has a 3.5 liter V6 motor, produces 275 horsepower. In a truck that's even this size, that is just, it feels very slow, and maybe it's partially the gearing, but it also just feels so slow. I would definitely like a little more get up, and this sadly cannot provide it. Again, this is why I have a Porsche, so I can get my speed out on that. This is not a sports car, so I battle with that all the time. So I know there's people screaming at their screens right now that own Raptors that have the best of both worlds, but Raptors are also like $80,000, so we're not going to do that. But the power in this could be more. That's definitely a con for me. I would like a little bit more power. Con number 2 is the gas mileage. So the gas mileage in this truck is pretty bad. I think a lot of it has to do with the motor being underpowered, so therefore it's just working harder to get you where you want to be. But my average fuel economy usually is between 13 to 16 miles per gallon average. So I'll call it 15 average, and it's pretty bad, okay? In a small truck like this, I'd be expecting something closer to 20. The truck says from new on the window sticker, it gets 19 miles per gallon. I have never once seen 19 miles per gallon, even on like highway long driving trips. Never got there. It's usually about 17 on the highway. And that was before I put these bigger tires on. So the bigger tires don't help the argument, but it's just a note that I think there's a better motor solution for this truck that would offer better mileage as a byproduct, as well as more power and torque, which is also important to me. But that is con number 2. All right, con number 3 is actually my fault. I bought this truck with the 5-foot 2-inch bed, and in hindsight, I would have gone with the larger 6-foot 2-inch bed, which is a foot longer. I realize now, for me personally, that I would have been able to benefit from the longer bed more often, just because I'm a homeowner. I often am running back and forth between Menards and home getting stuff and wood and equipment or whatever. I think I really would have benefited from a 6'2" bed. This one is shorter. It looks a little more kind of rugged and all that. The longer ones are longer. But I think in hindsight that I would have gone with that bed. I think it's a little bit more for me, and I would have used that bed space more. That con is my own fault. Toyota offers the choice of a 5-foot or a 6-foot bed. I opted for the 5-foot. Next time I would get the 6-foot. All right, con number 4. The fourth one has to do with kind of also the engine, but out the back, the towing capacity. The towing capacity in this truck is a claimed 6,800 pounds. And that to me sounds like a little bit of a stretch, because the last time I towed a trailer that was, my car was on it, so I had a car trailer and my Porsche on it. I towed up to the racetrack for a track day. This truck really struggled with even that, and I think the total of that was about 5,000 pounds, maybe 5,500. That was bad enough. I don't even think this truck could handle 6,800 pounds, and if you did do it, you wouldn't want to go over 40 miles an hour, because it starts to feel like the trailer's overpowering the truck at that point. And I wouldn't even dare trust that. I wouldn't tow that much weight with this truck. So again, this is just sort of a fact of a small or mid-sized truck like this, is the towing capacity is lower versus about 8,000 pounds on your standard quarter-ton pickup, your Ford F-150s, your Chevy 1500s, all that. That's definitely a con. Again, I don't think it's maybe warranted on a truck this size, just because it is what it is. Going forward, I would be tempted to get a full-size pickup because of that. I just don't think this truck can haul a whole lot, and that's, again, a bummer for anyone who's planning to use their truck for utility purposes. So that's con number 4. So between the pros and the cons, what do you think? Would you buy it? All right, thank you guys for watching today's episode of Driveway Breakdown with my 2018 Toyota Tacoma off-road, TRD off-road. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. There's gonna be videos like this coming out all year, hopefully once a week. And please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you, get your feedback, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Until next week.